Still Crazy After All These Beers is brought to you by our friends at Michelob, crafting a better beer. And Porta Pong, the world's #1 best-selling inflatable beer pong table at portapong.com.
Okay, chatting with Mark Edelson, one of the founders of Iron Hill, and you're the director of brewing operations for the company. And I know you were really very, very active in the brewing when this company started in its infancy, which seems like so many years ago. How many years was it now, Mark?
13 now.
13 years. And now what you do, basically, you kind of oversee all the brewing operations, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
How do you, and we talked with Chris LaPierre a little bit earlier today, how do you guys ensure that, you know, if I'm going to Wilmington next week and I'm going to Westchester the following week, which would make you very happy, I'm sure, how do I be certain that the Pig Iron Porter is going to taste the same, and do you want it to taste the same at all locations?
Yeah, well, we have our 5 house products and then a number of seasonal products. We always carry a Belgian tap handle, a Belgian ale, all year long, although that'll be different. But basically, our 5 house products, we want to be consistent. So we want people to come to the restaurant, recognize the brand, and be expecting the same thing. So formulas are the same, and of course, there's formulation, and then there's processing, and a lot of variability. Each of our brew houses is different. And we are a small brewer, so a lot of variation, raw materials and whatnot. But what we do is we do the same thing that the big brewers ultimately do. I mean, the big brewers have a lot of laboratory and things like that, but ultimately what it comes down to is their tasting panels. You know, in fact, AB has the commercials now about, you know, every day at 3 o'clock, you know, they're tasting all the beers, and that's what we do. Once a month, we get together and taste one of our brands from each of the restaurants in a blind panel, and it really puts them out there. They all make comments on their beer, and nobody wants to be the guy that's got a beer with too much diacetyl in it and whatnot. So it's its own quality control, because, you know, they want to make sure that it's consistent, that it's the best one on the table. There's a lot of competition with that. And then on the other side of it, they have the, you know, people say that's boring, and my thing is that as an engineer and a scientist, that the harder thing is the consistency. You know, it's great to make this great IPA when you have no benchmark to put it up against, you know, because even if it didn't hit what you wanted to, it's still great, but, you know, but those are all benchmarks, so it's tough to hit the benchmark all the time, especially like a light lager and things like that. So I think that puts a lot of challenge on the processing and scientific end of what our brewers do. And the second part of that then becomes a creativity, which they have a lot of free hand with their seasonals and what they want to do. And that's been great, because now we have 8 head brewers, and there's a lot of creativity out there that's really pushing the envelope on a lot of styles.
I think it's going to be curious, and it's probably a question that you can't really answer yet, but now you're making the move into South Jersey, and this is uncharted territory in so many ways. There's a real lack of brew pubs and breweries in the southern part of the state. A lot of people leave the area to get their beer. So you're going to be, I guess there's a learning curve in deciding what's going to work here at this particular location, right?
Sure, well, customers will let us know what they want. I mean, that happens in every location. And we're usually wrong about what we think they want. You know, we opened in Lancaster, which we figured was, you know, a lot of Germans, so they're going to love all the lagers, right? And Stouts has made educated a lot of people, and there's a lot of history there. Tell you what, they drink the hell out of hoppy beers out there. And it really took us off guard completely, because we weren't expecting that. Yeah. So your customers let you know what they want. And, you know,
that's curious. You know, that's a good point. You know, I would have thought the same thing. You move into Lancaster, you're thinking you're moving into a traditional German area, so the lagers are going to be very big, and yet that shows the influence of the companies like Stout and maybe to an extent Lancaster Brewing, and then you've got Trogs also, and so it's curious how that's kind of trickling down, filtering down.
Sure, absolutely. You know, and it's great, because there's been everywhere we go, there's a lot of pre-education from people who have been there before us. I mean, certainly Flying Fish has been a tremendous amount of education, and you know, in all the breweries in New Jersey, and we're close enough to Philadelphia that there's a large Philadelphia influence, which has got such a great beer culture. And like you said, so many people here, and you know, even people from here call this the craft beer wasteland, and they travel to Philadelphia to go to some great places. Although, you know, we've found some tremendous places right around here that are carrying great beers, even surprising ones. Yeah, you know, like the Uno's down the street. It's got a tremendous beer list. It's great. It really is. So those are things that make us feel good about what we're doing, and that there's some pre-education to customers, and that's what we like.
Coming here in the Garden State has not been an easy thing for you, and I know we talked a little bit earlier. There were some questions as to whether things were going to come down. I know you were very close a couple years ago to landing something in Jersey, and things happened. So it's probably a bit of somewhat a sense of relief to finally have this location open and see where it takes you.
Well, I would say, yeah, it's time to make money and stop spending money. It's New Jersey is prohibitive in terms of opening business, just from a sheer cost standpoint. It's brutal, and it's tough for. We took a run at it a couple years ago, and I'm almost glad we didn't, because the financial impact. We were looking at here seriously when we were a 3-restaurant operation, and that deal fell through. But now that we're an 8-restaurant operation, it's a little easier for us to make that financial commitment. But it's tough for mom and pop operations to start a restaurant with a liquor license in New Jersey.
Now here it is, Iron Hill Brewery number 8. In the tri-state area, Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. And Mark Edelson, we thank you for joining us. Thanks for having us. People are lined up, getting ready to come in here for the grand opening, the first day of Iron Hill number 8 in Maple Shade, New Jersey. And we'll see you next time on Still Crazy After All These Beers.